How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? I'm Luke from Oatmeal Robotics, and welcome back to another episode of Mechanical Mayhem. Last time we saw some really crazy fights, not limited to Pumpkin versus Resilience, where Pumpkin absolutely obliterated it. Anyhow, let's start off with our new fights for today, starting off with Blank and Missile. These are two robots I've already fought. All these robots have already fought, actually. But these are two robots that are very similar. Missile being a four-wheel drive, Blank being a two-wheel drive. Missile technically has the stronger weapon motor, but Blank has the bigger spinner. So this is going to be an interesting matchup. But let's start off with Blank, who has a lot more defense than Missile. Those rear wheels can be hit and torn off without compromising the drive at all, but that weapon seems to be very, very durable. Missile, on the other hand, the weapon had a little bit of trouble last time. They do have to spin it down every now and then just to make sure that they don't overheat, but the speed on Missile is insane. It is possibly the fastest robot in this tournament. Now, both of these robots are going to be going in with fork configurations. So let's see how that shakes up this match down at the box. All right, here we go. The robots are in the arena, and the fight is about to start. So here we see right out the gate, Blank actually coming out to the middle a little quicker than Missile. Missile just trying to find a good angle to hit Blank. Blank kind of sitting in the middle of the box, a little bit more controlled. They're willing to be a lot more patient. A great shot from Missile, though. They have that speed to really ramp into Blank and get a good shot. But it looks like the belt has slipped off of Missile's weapon, so you can see it's not spinning too fast, but it is still technically spinning. And Blank, with a nice shot to the back of Missile, gets them flipped over, and now they're up on that wall. Missile does have the drive to get out of there, but I don't know if they're not getting radio signal, but now they're up on that wall, so if they drive forward, they might be able to get back in, but looks like they are out of the arena. And it looks like that is where the fight is going to end. Blank's just sitting there, seeing if they're going to get down, but it looks like Missile is not able to move. And it looks like the fight is indeed called there. Blank executing their strategy of just waiting for the right moment to strike and waiting for Missile to make a little mistake and capitalize on it. So good job to Blank. And it looks like Blank is going to walk away with a fairly convincing victory. They did get one good shot, or Missile did get one good shot on them, but they just kept calm, let their armor take the hit, and then dished out their damage. So a really well-rounded robot in Blank. Missile onto the losers bracket. Blank moving on in the winners. Our next fight is going to be Bloodlust versus Spellbreak. This is Oof Robotics versus LML. So let's start off with Spellbreak. An alright showing last time, nothing too crazy, but if they can get some good ramp speed, then they can definitely give Bloodlust a run for their money. Made definitely to take on vertical spinners, but having to take on a horizontal spinner. But they had a pretty good run in duckbots against them, so let's not count them out just yet. Going up against them is going to be Bloodlust, again by Oof Robotics. This is the configuration that they're going against Spellbreak with. There's long forks and their titanium bar. So they did have problems with the batteries kind of coming a little loose and propping up their battery tray so their wheels weren't touching the ground. So we're going to try to see if that happens again. Hopefully it doesn't, but if it does not, we're looking at a very good shot of Bloodlust winning the fight just with that overwhelming power that they have. They're very quick, they're very strong, but we just need to see if they can withstand the full 3 minutes. So without further ado, let's see if they can or not down at the box. All right, and here we go. The robots are in the arena and the fight's just about to begin. So right away, Spellbreak, a little cautious, but getting over to Bloodlust pretty quick. Bloodlust seems to still be having some of those drive issues from last time. I don't know if the battery tray is a little jarred, maybe the gears are a little gummed up, but they've already ripped off one of those forks on Spellbreak. This version, again, not as good as the original by LML, but Bloodlust still, if they can get back over to Spellbreak, then they probably got this fight looking pretty in their hands. But they do have to watch out for, well, it looks like Spellbreak's actually lost the side of drive too. So these robots are just kind of awkwardly translating movement towards each other. This is a very interesting fight. But Bloodlust with a little shot there. Spellbreak, looks like they can drive better backwards than forwards, so that's kind of interesting. But both of these robots just kind of crab walk in, trying to make sure that they don't show the opponent their backside. They want to get the better of the exchanges, but that's kind of hard when you're kind of moving at an arc. Bloodlust's weapon not spinning up. Okay, there it goes. They just spun it down. Shuffling a little bit more, and there goes the other fork on Spellbreak. Weirdly fixing their drive, but also making it worse because now that entire front is dragging on the ground rather than just the little points from the two forks. Another good shot by Bloodlust, and another good one ripping off that little third front fork. Spellbreak seeming to drive a lot better now after that, weirdly enough. This is definitely the weirdest robot in this field. But Bloodlust shuffling a little bit more towards Spellbreak. Spellbreak just not sure how they want to play this. It looks like they're going to start driving backwards, just trying to push Bloodlust. They know that they can't get him up on that flipper now, so they are kind of just a push robot at this point. Bloodlust just kind of sitting in the middle of the box, but it doesn't look like they're moving now. Let's see if they can... It looks like, all right, they're shuffling just enough. Let's see. Spellbreak seeing if they're going to get counted out. They're not. They're translating just enough movement to avoid a count out. So Spellbreak does have to keep going in, keep on engaging. But Bloodlust, they really need to start doing a little bit more. If they could get maybe 1 or 2 more hits, this fight is probably theirs to win. But it looks like they're not moving at all now. Let's see. Spellbreak just hanging back. And it looks like Bloodlust. Are they getting counted out? It looks like they are indeed getting counted out. It looks like Spellbreak is going to advance in the winner's bracket. And yeah, that is a knockout for Spellbreak. And what an outstanding upset for Spellbreak. Congratulations to LML. Sorry to Oof Robotics, but I think after this fight, I actually went ahead and glued the batteries into the battery tray, so this should not happen again. But Bloodlust is in the loser's bracket, Spellbreak moving on in the winner's bracket. Our next fight is going to be Centrifuge versus Tungsten. Both of these robots did fairly good in their last round. Tungsten did really good in its last round. Centrifuge not as much, but still. So Centrifuge this time is going with a different overhead spinner configuration, hopefully to protect their battery from an overhead hit on Tungsten. So you know you're scary when the opponents have to change up their strategy. Tungsten, meanwhile, it's going with a new set of forks. Hopefully they don't get flicked up and stay in that upright position. Those outer forks are the same, but the newer ones are in the middle. So let's see how that fares for them down at the box. All right, the robots are in the arena and the fight's about to begin. You can see that PETG overhead blue bar on Centrifuge. It's had that since last season, and there it goes. Okay, Tungsten has already shattered a part of the tri-bar on top of Centrifuge and just keeps on hitting it. And there goes more of the tri-bar. So already it's pretty much just a bar again. Centrifuge in the wall, not looking too good for them. Tungsten with a great shot at that receiver, almost hitting the battery, taking off more of that tri-bar. It's not looking good for Centrifuge. It looks like the armor on Centrifuge also has already been a little broken up from the frame. You can see kind of on that right side it's lifted up a little more than it should be. Tungsten, it looks like they're having the issue with the right side of their drive again, and that outer fork is sticking up again, but those middle sets seem to be doing pretty well. Trying to get more of that tri-bar. Tungsten just spinning up, slapping down just in case. And a great shot. Oh, that's where the receiver sits. And it looks like they just missed it just enough for Centrifuge to keep on moving. And it looks like Tungsten not done yet, but Centrifuge not giving up still. Let's see if they can try to mount and come back here. Driving into the wall is probably not the best idea. Both of these robots share the same base, a byte force base. Centrifuge runs on 3.7 volts, Tungsten on 7.4. So Tungsten definitely has the more raw power here. But Centrifuge, it seems to be lower than Tungsten, which actually benefits them greatly here. Because you can see them kind of scooping up Tungsten when Tungsten's entire job is to scoop up the opponent. But Tungsten with just such a devastating weapon, making it really hard for Centrifuge to do much of anything. Centrifuge isn't even trying to spin up that often now. But it looks like they've actually got that spinner wedged in the bottom plate, or in between the top plate and the frame of the robot. Tungsten free pinning again and hitting Centrifuge with that hammer saw. That's a grade 5 titanium hammer saw, and it looks like Centrifuge is stuck in the wall. They might be able to drive out if they're on a full charge, but it looks like that battery is a little old and it's just given out now. So it looks like that is going to be the end of the fight. So Tungsten winning on a knockout, but not from demolishing Centrifuge, although that weapon is trash, but just from Centrifuge getting stuck. So Tungsten moves on, and Centrifuge is now in the losers bracket. All right, our next fight is going to be a big one. It's going to be Ocean Commotion versus Phantom, Chaotic Robotics versus me. These two robots are considered to be some of the best on both of our channels, so this is going to be a really, really good fight I'm excited for. So let's start off with Phantom. Coming off their win against Terror, another big tower vert, but just one that wasn't as refined. But they do have the advantage here with that low, wide stance to uppercut a vertical spinner like Ocean Commotion. Ocean Commotion hits extremely hard, very fast, very durable, super well-rounded robot, optimized over several years. It is hard just to state how decorated this robot is, so if anyone can give Phantom a true test to see if it's really up to the snuff, it is going to be Ocean Commotion. So without further ado, let's see how this fight goes down at the box. All right, this was actually the fight we recorded 3 separate times, so we're going to show you all 3 of them. So right away, Phantom coming out, getting some good shots, Ocean Commotion, getting some good shots, and it's out the arena. So pretty anticlimactic for how much I just hyped up this fight. So we decided, you know what, let's run it back, like let's give the people a real good showing here. So here goes the second fight. So we got the robots already, timer back on. So right away, Phantom gets to the backside of Ocean Commotion. Ocean Commotion kind of resets. Both robots kind of just trying to feel out the situation. Ocean Commotion getting to the side of Phantom. A nice shot, and the belt has popped off of Ocean Commotion. So at this point, we decide, all right, here, let's stop it here. Let's just make sure that the belt stays on. We want a good full. We either want a full 3-minute fight or a knockout within like a couple more seconds. So here's the third and final take here. Both robots doing pretty good. Both drivers nice and comfortable at this point. Nice shot by Phantom, flipping Ocean Commotion over. Ocean Commotion can drive upside down, but they can't spin upside down. So they need to find a way to get back over. Maybe using the screws, or maybe Phantom can flip them back over. But Phantom looking very well dialed in here. Popping Ocean Commotion up on the screws. Ocean Commotion back in it. Nice another pop from Phantom. Pinning Ocean Commotion. Ocean Commotion getting away. And a massive shot from Phantom, sending Ocean Commotion flying and back up on their head. Phantom just absolutely drowning the captain here. And it looks like Ocean Commotion has been propped up against the wall. Can Phantom get him out the arena? And they can! A nice, very convincing win from Phantom. Good job to them. And it looks like Phantom is going to walk away with a very convincing win over Ocean Commotion. Still very good robot, both of these two. Phantom just with a better type matchup. So good job to Phantom. Ocean Commotion going to the losers bracket, where, let's be real, they're probably going to make it pretty far anyhow. Next fight, Icebreaker versus Catastrophe. Another builder in Icebreaker Robotics with Icebreaker here. Well, this was my replica of it. And Catastrophe. So let's start off with Icebreaker. This thing is just a cannon on wheels, all right? Like, it's pretty durable. It can't self-right unless that weapon hits the ground full speed, but it is an absolute monster. And it's fighting Catastrophe. Catastrophe, it's pretty much just a brick. It's just very strong in the front. So, unstoppable force versus immovable object. So let's see how that goes down at the box. All right, the robots are in the arena. Catastrophe, spin down. Come on, unsportsmanlike conduct. Ref, do something. Anyhow, both of these robots are underway, and it looks like Icebreaker already getting a nice shot on that self-rider. Catastrophe already kind of trying to get those forks in play, and they do. They've ripped off one of those little wedge pieces on Icebreaker. You can see Icebreaker actually gyroing a little. Icebreaker getting another little shot on that self-rider. The self-rider is thin PETG, so I'm surprised it hasn't shattered at this point. but both of these robots kind of feeling each other out. Icebreaker hitting the arena harder than it's hitting Catastrophe. And it looks like Catastrophe has actually ripped off the other little wedge area on Icebreaker, but Icebreaker taking a nice shot on the back of Catastrophe, getting him pinned in that corner and ripping off a piece of that back plate. And it looks like Catastrophe's spinner was actually clogged up by that little wedgelet of Icebreaker, but they're free now. So it looks like both of these robots trading shots, but it looks like the fork has gotten wedged up into Catastrophe's spinner. And I guess Icebreaker is just fighting the arena more than it's fighting its opponent, ripping a corner piece out from the arena. But it looks like Catastrophe, it looks like that Self-Rider has actually been shattered a little on Catastrophe, like I said. And I can't tell if their weapon is actually a little out of the mount or if the fork just got bent up. It looks like maybe a little bit of both, but definitely the fork has been bent up. But now Catastrophe pinning Icebreaker. Icebreaker just kind of circling the water like a shark. And it looks like they flipped over. And it looks like Catastrophe is going to walk away with the win. Icebreaker cannot self-right. Oh, man. And it looks like Catastrophe's entire wedge was actually peeled up too. So, heartbreak for Icebreaker. They're going to move on to the loser's bracket. But it looks like they could have easily won this fight. Catastrophe can barely move as they crab walk to a victory. But that is a victory nonetheless. Again, a devastating loss for Icebreaker. But they did show that they do have insane strength in that weapon. So they might still have a really good chance in the loser's bracket in later rounds. But Catastrophe walking away, well, crawling away really with the win. So sometimes you just got to be durable. Anyhow, our next fight is going to be Flabbergast versus Mayhem. These are actually very similar robots, just kind of tuned differently. So let's start off with Mayhem. The current reigning champion, low forks, strong spinner, not the strongest, but definitely enough to do what it needs to do. It's got that Self-Rider, a lot more hot glue on that weapon motor this time. Nice and controlled, just well-rounded robot, looking to do just enough. And it's going up against Flabbergast. So Flabbergast is kind of like if Mayhem spec'd more into a lifter than a spinner, and the drive was just a little worse. But they are very low, very controlled. They're a very flat robot. So they hopefully can kind of see if they can uppercut Mayhem or lift him up and try to get some combination of hits on Mayhem to see if they can get him out the arena or something. But they're just going to look to do just enough as well. So let's see how that goes down at the box. When both the robots are in the arena, Flabbergast coming off a great win with Panda, Mayhem coming off a touching win with Doorstop. But both of these robots meeting in the middle of the arena, Mayhem with a good little shot there, but Flabbergast keeping their nose pointed at Mayhem, and it looks like they've locked horns. It looks like Flabbergast is being a lot more cautious with that lifter. It looked like Mayhem got to the back of him again, so it might have costed him. And it looks like Mayhem's ripped off one of those lifting arms on Flabbergast. Is that lifter even working? I'm not too sure. But it looks like Mayhem is just slowly dissecting Flabbergast piece by piece like it's a freaking Lego set or something. But now Flabbergast has Mayhem in the corner, and it looks like that lifter might not be working. Either that or they're just trying to wait for the great moment like that. That is the perfect moment to use the lifter, and it looks like they're not doing that. So it looks like that lifter might be broken or jammed. Very unfortunate for Flabbergast, but they do still have that weapon, and that lifter is low, but Mayhem getting these really nice shots. We're going to have to see how durable Flabbergast is going to be able to be here. But they are keeping pretty square to Mayhem. Mayhem not losing that weapon motor this time. They cannot afford that in this match. And it looks like Flabbergast getting under Mayhem again. These robots are actually fairly even, and a massive shot from Mayhem sends Flabbergast up into the air. And it looks like that might have hurt their drive a little. But it looks like they actually recovered pretty well. But you can see that front left side of armor on Flabbergast is coming undone. And there goes the second fork on Flabbergast. And they're up on the wall. And look, that lifter finally works. But they ripped off all of the armor and weapon on Flabbergast. Flabbergast is now just a box. So Mayhem having an easier time now. And a nice another good shot. And an out of the arena hit from Mayhem, showing why they are the defending champion. What a fight from the champ. Holy cow. Flabbergast going to the losers bracket, but honestly holding their own pretty well for a long time. against a really big spinner like Mayhem. Speaking of big spinners, we have Pumpkin coming back to fight Atlantis. Now, you might think this fight is going to go a lot like Pumpkin's last match, but Atlantis was actually designed specifically with the purpose of withstanding Pumpkin. This is kind of the anti-Pumpkin robot. So let's start off with Pumpkin coming off an insane fight against Resilience, tearing it to shreds, officially retiring Resilience. That robot does not exist anymore, I can tell you that much. But they're looking to do the same here with Atlantis. But Atlantis was designed with Pumpkin in mind. You can see those side armor panels are actually TPU, and the entire chassis is PLA+, including the armor, the forks, and the weapon. So they're going to look to just tank the hits from Pumpkin and try to dish out as much damage. And if they can go the full 3 minutes, great. They're hoping to make it go a little shorter. Can they do it? Let's find out down at the box. All right, both the robots are in the arena, and the fight is about to begin. So we're going to try to see if Atlantis can actually withstand the power that is Pumpkin. Already it looks to be holding up fairly well in these first few hits. Dishing another shot out back to Pumpkin. Both these robots locking horns. It looks like the weapon engagement is just not enough for a big shot between these two. But if they can get a run up, then it could be a nice hit there from Pumpkin. And it looks like Atlantis is not moving. Let's see if they can get any radio. And there they go. They're actually moving again. I did not expect that. So it looks like they're having some intermittent radio issues, which could be caused by Pumpkin's big hit. And you can kind of see that back right wheel is looking a little wobbly. So Pumpkin just kind of picking and choosing their shots now. Another good shot from Pumpkin. Atlantis not moving that well, but it is still moving. Did it turn off? No, it looks like they spun down the weapon to see if they can get more power to the drive. And it looks like they were actually able to, but spinning up that weapon again. But Pumpkin shoved under the wall, but they get free. And another good shot against Atlantis. Atlantis getting to the side of Pumpkin. Both of these robots kind of just resetting, and a massive hit from Pumpkin, ripping off a part of that back of the top plate, I think, from Atlantis. Atlantis just kind of spinning, definitely having issues with that radio. That could be because of the drone motor drawing too much power along with those N10s. You can actually see the N10s through that slit that Pumpkin has created. Atlantis spinning a little bit in a circle. Pumpkin just kind of lining up its shots. Pumpkin getting a little caught up on the debris on the floor. I mean, that weapon. Oh, you can see a bunch of sparks there. Pumpkin hitting the M3 screws that are holding Atlantis' armor and wheels in place. And a massive shot from Pumpkin sends Atlantis overhead. A wheel ripped out. That spinner's still spinning, though. Pumpkins, let's see if they're going to make their way over. And it looks like smoke is coming out of Atlantis. And they're going to call that fight right there and then, because I do not like robots on fire inside my house. I don't know about you guys. It's just not my favorite thing. But it looks like Pumpkin with another very convincing and dominant win. Good job to them. So yeah, that fight really didn't go to plan for Atlantis, but at least Pumpkin works, yay! So I believe after this fight, Atlantis actually gets downgraded to a platinum weapon motor, so it'll actually work from now on, which is good. But Pumpkin, moving on in the winner's bracket. Our final fight of the day is going to be Odyssey versus Squish. These are both custom-made robots by me. They both actually have very similar internals. I believe they both use a Sawblaze board, run off of 3.7 volt LiPo, have very similar, if not the same drive. Only big difference is the weapon motor. So let's start off with Odyssey, who has a platinum weapon motor. So that weapon it's decent. It'll get the job done, but it's nothing too crazy. They do have a 3D design for a horizontal configuration, but they actually just decided to not print it out because of those massive slopes on the side. Facing Squish, who has a hub motor horizontal spinner design, so the motor's actually in the spinner. You'd think it'd be a little, like, weak if it gets hit the wrong way, but it's been fine apparently, so I'm not gonna complain. So let's see how this fight goes down at the box. So let's see. Weird thing, this fight actually lost like half the footage. So you see a massive shot there from Odyssey right away. Squish getting under Odyssey super well. I'm just going to commentate normally until the fight cuts out. So Squish definitely getting a nice bit of control after that opening shot. They got to be durable here because Odyssey can absolutely uppercut them multiple times, but it looks like they're doing really good driving backwards with those forks, getting under Odyssey and then whipping around with that spinner. But Odyssey definitely pushing Squish in the corner. Odyssey should have the better traction on the floor, but Squish with the lower ground game. Both of these robots, pretty powerful spinners. Squish probably a little stronger. Nice shot there from them. And it looks like they're locking horns here. So it looks like Odyssey is trying to hit him. And there goes Squish with that fork getting bent up. But it looks like a nice another shot from Squish. And the fight just cuts out here for whatever reason. I don't know why. So I'm just going to tell you what happens. Basically, just another minute of what you guys saw. But it ends up with Squish coming out on top. I'm honestly pretty annoyed because it was a really good fight, and showing the whole fight would have been great. Squish just like ended up ripping off one of those like little things that hold the forks in place, and just did like a little bit more. It was more so they were controlling with those forks for the rest of the fight. Anyhow, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully that's the only fight that has that issue. If you guys liked the fights, go ahead, leave a like. If you want to subscribe, then you can. There's going to be more fights. Next fight, we're going to move on to the losers bracket, so the fights might be a little bit more, but stay tuned for them because you might actually see some really good fights. And then 2 episodes from now, we're going to see some really good fights, including Blank versus Spellbreak, Tungsten versus Phantom, the 2 new rookies, showing which one is going to be the best. A rematch from a really good fight from last season in Catastrophe versus Mayhem. And last but not least, Pumpkin versus Squish. So we'll see which horizontal spinner comes out on top there. But that is going to be it for today, guys. So I will see you all next time. Bye.